Well, Elizabeth was a lovely, aware, bright, happy young girl. Really loved life, was very popular with her friends and peers. Very environmentally aware for a child of her age. She was just 12 when she died, and loved music, loved the Beatles. In fact, just a week or two before Elizabeth died, I brought her to Liverpool for her 12th birthday, and we went to all the places where, you know, Penny Lane and Strawberry Fields and all the hangouts that the Beatles made famous. So that was a very special time, turned out to be a particularly special time, because 10 days later she died of bacterial meningitis. She was at home from school with what Rosemary and I thought were the typical symptoms of a bad cold, and there was a lot of it going around at the time. So I remember that morning, in fact, there was a song on the radio, and it's called "You're in the Doghouse Now." I think it's from a musical, Calamity Jane, or one of these musicals. And I remember Elizabeth asking me, you know, what does that mean? And I explained the concept as best I could. And I had business to do in Limerick and went to catch my train. The significance of that is the last thing I ever said to her, because when I got to Limerick, Rosemary rang me to say that she'd been taken to hospital, that these symptoms just exacerbated very, very quickly. And by the time I got back, she was on life support and really died the next day. So really in a 24-hour period, I suppose, from doing an ordinary day's business, 24 hours later, Rosemary and I and the family were picking out a coffin for her. I knew a little bit about her. I'd heard about, you know, lumbar punctures, and that it was an inflammation in the head or in the brain some way, but frankly, other than that, I didn't know a lot. I knew that it happened very suddenly, and I'd heard of a number of cases. But I suppose when it strikes home, you know, one begins to look into these things in greater detail and wonder, is there anything, if only, you know, I'd known a little bit more, or we'd have been more aware of what's going on. And this is some of the wonderful work that the Meningitis Research Foundation have done to create this awareness, so that every parent or teacher or guardian knows what to look out for. We've done a number of fundraisers. Last year I ran the London Marathon for Meningitis Research Foundation. It wasn't pretty, but I got there and people kindly donated. It's been a great privilege for me to be involved, because it's salvaging something for me. There are a lot of things now I won't do because Elizabeth died, but there are certainly things I'm doing that I probably wouldn't have done if she was alive today. So I'm delighted to be involved with the foundation. The research into sort of vaccines and the eradication and the immunization of the disease is absolutely vital, because, in fact, I was reminded of a story of these two men standing on a riverbank, and a very fast flowing river in front of them, and a waterfall, you know, just downstream from them, a dangerous waterfall. And then suddenly these babies pass by in Moses baskets flowing down the river. And one guy says, hey, we have to do something here. And he jumped into the river, and as best he could tried to save as many babies by bringing them to the safety of the bank. But there were so many, he couldn't save all. But his partner was still standing up there, and he said to his partner, hey, you better give a hand here. And he says, you know, you continue what you're doing. I'm going to go upstream and see who's throwing them in. And I think that's what vaccines do. They go upstream, because meningitis, I suppose if I could continue with the analogy a bit, is a very, very fast flowing river. And it moves very quickly, and we have to be vigilant, and we have to, you know, react when we see the symptoms, of course, but really the importance of what the foundation have helped to happen, new vaccines, new eradication, and just eliminate this devastating disease forever is the way to go.